certain norms start becoming established between relationships between two people as well. And this bullying starts to raise its head because now it's decided that the person who's going to be antisocial has decided rather where they want to be and what that means about the person who they're going to target. That becomes part of their identity, if you like, by persecuting that person. It ensures that they retain a type of status, if you like, um, or they get something from it in some shape or form. As I said, motivations for predatory behaviour are varied, and motivations for bullying are often varied as well. But latent bullying, again, it's something that we don't check, and what I feel it's very comparable to is general self-protection when we're talking about awareness. So familiarity breeds contempt, and although I appreciate there has been a degree of debunking about that assertion that familiarity breeds contempt, it can breed contempt in a way that our brains switch off to things that we would have been apprehensive about initially. So whenever you go to a new place, whenever you start something new, you tend to be a lot more alert to what is going on. But again, time makes you start to switch off to these other things. Why? Because your brain's picking up that certain things are no longer threats to you, they're no longer a risk. Hence the reason why we have issues like most accidents happen in the home, most road accidents happen near your home in familiar surroundings. And indeed, a great deal of violence is perpetrated within a person's home environment, and everything from domestic abuse through to fights in the local pub, for example, and things like that. So we have that general familiarity, and then the bad stuff does happen within that familiarity. And then we might look at that with regards to latent bullying. So we're maybe not we've either been in denial of these early red flags that have happened, and haven't seen the waxing bullying, haven't seen the slow, insidious assault, a common term that you'll hear me being used a lot on my self-protection vlogs, start to happen. We might not be aware of these things. It's either for a sense of denial or just because we're just not switched on to it at all. We haven't clocked these certain behaviours. But yeah, as I said, they are the most common forms of bullying, this latent bullying. And when I think back of my childhood, and I think of instances not just of bullying, but also fallouts in relationships with friends and things like that. Some of those things, happened later on when I was at school, and I'd also observed it with very sadly in serious cases of bullying with other students happening in their lifetime. I remember as someone who very sadly took his life a couple of years ago, or at least the evidence seems to point towards that that's what he did anyway. I don't think it's been absolutely conclusively been established that that's the reason. So, but he was bullied terribly at school, this kid. But I remember his first year at school was pretty good because he had friends in the upper years, and those friends in the upper years protected him very much so. And so he had a sort of a honeymoon period for his first year at school. But once they'd moved on to other schools, because obviously they're much older and much older years, then the bullies began to circle, and they struck. And so then a very slow form of latent bullying took place, and that became a persecution for him throughout his whole school life. And that was just one example that comes to mind. Since I've taught children self-protection, since I've taught self-protection in general, I've heard many, many stories and researched a lot more as well. But yeah, so again, we need to be aware of this, as I say, with when it comes to latent bullying. And again, this vlog is just to bring your attention to it. It's covered in far more detail in an actual lesson in two of my courses, two courses which I co-present and co-created with Mary Stevens of the Athena School of Karate in the Animal Instincts Children's Self-Protection Teaching Program under the BEAR category, which is the 11 to 16-year-old. So that's for people who are learning to become self-protection teachers or wish to include self-protection teaching for children, realistic self-protection teaching for children. and are interested in either the qualification or just to bring those skills to their regular classes, is available with these online pre-recorded courses. But there's a special parenting version of this course. So this is not for teachers. This is not even for the teenagers themselves, but for parents of teenagers and preteens. We have a whole section, a lengthy section, where we go in depth into latent bullying. So please check those out. But if you're interested in booking me for a course on any subject on self-protection, you can notice that it's quite tailored and bespoke, then please get in contact. And please be safe and be aware out there.